This podcast is a part of the PodMania podcasting network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling.
Howdy doodly neighbourinos, welcome to the Purespective podcast. I am your host Chris O'Brien, joined by the dunkable Rob Goodwin.
The dunkable Rob Goodwin.
Dunkable.
Yeah, I'm alright, man. How are you?
I'm fine. My voice hurts because I've never shouted that much on a podcast before.
The intro where you're talking about the Stardom one we'd recorded before this?
The one where we shouted at each other for like half an hour, yeah.
Oh, the Stardom cast, yeah. That was... It was an interesting dynamic, wasn't it?
Yeah, normally only one of us are aggressive and the other one's just going, hey man, things are cool.
Just calm down.
Here's a split, dude.
Yeah, just chill out, man. It's all good. It's wrestling. Who cares?
Scotland lost and I feel shit about that. Like, here's the thing. Optimism in the face of certain defeat is just what Scotland does. Like, we took a bunch of farmers and beat the English army because of a bridge, so...
Yeah, basically the Scottish sort of attitude towards things is, we're going to lose, but we're going to be happy about it.
Well, we'll either drink to remember or drink to forget.
I like it. That is what absolutely every person's motif should be.
Because in England, what happens is you have 20 days of glorifying your sports stars. Like they're the second coming, and then they lose, and you absolutely trash them.
Yep, 100%.
In Scotland, we treat our sports stars the same, no matter what. And then we get really annoyed because I bet you, if Scotland does somehow pull it out and win, it's going to be the British team goes forward to the finals of the Euros, and it's like it happens with every Scottish sports star, like Josh Taylor, the British boxer. As soon as he loses, the Scottish bastard.
Yeah, we do have a propensity to do that.
Yeah, because you're cunts.
Yeah, like Andy Murray. Andy Murray's a prime example. If he wins, he's British. If he loses, he's Scottish.
There's a point where it became a running joke, and it's not funny. He's ours.
We have so little. Stop stealing it.
No, that's the thing. We have lots of great sports stars, but everyone keeps forgetting they're Scottish because you lot are like, the Brit. Same happened in Formula One. David Coulthard starts winning a few races over British driver because no other British driver was doing one in Formula One at the time.
Fucking hell, David Coulthard, you bloody going back some then.
I mean, there's not really been a Scottish Formula One driver since.
No, there really hasn't, has there?
It's basically him, Jim Clark, and Jackie Stewart. Oh, Paul di Resta, but nobody remembers Paul di Resta.
Scotland!
I'm trying to think what else you've... Oh, no, Garth keeps calling Drew McIntyre British, which makes me want to fucking do him.
Stop stealing our champions.
No, but I think he's Scottish. Do the English wear kilts only when they're cunts?
Or on a stag do.
Yeah, cunts. I've never met someone on a stag do who wasn't a cunt.
Okay.
Stunned silence. Anyway, we are here today to talk about Ring of Honor, believe it or not. We're going to be going over the week of Ring of Honor, week by week, eh? Going from week by week, number 55, Women of Honor Wednesdays, number 7, and Ring of Honor Wrestling 508. Sound good, Robert?
Sounds good to me, mate.
Okay, let's jump into it. So, Ring of Honor week by week. I won't go over every interview because... But just go watch the interviews.
It's like a 45-minute show. Just go watch it.
Yeah, just watch it in the background. I mean, you listen to this podcast, you can only have 40 minutes to dedicate to Ring of Honor. So, the match this week, though, on Ring of Honor week by week was a Survival of the Fittest match between Brian Johnson and Sledge. Now, what mother calls their child Sledge?
I don't think that's his birth name. I don't think it's like Sledge Smith.
You had to make it alliterate, didn't you? He's from California, so anything's on the table.
That's true, actually. That's a very good point.
But yeah, we talked about this match last week because of the promo package that aired on Ring of Honor TV, which was very good.
Very good. Very, very
and
good.
And then Brian Johnson comes out here going, I'm not going to let any of you jackasses introduce me, only I can introduce me. Going very quickly from the babyface of this match to the
Yeah, he stopped his own music just to tell us that he was amazing. And then he had to go at the ring announcer, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, it's like, fuck you, Bobby Cruz.
Well, I really enjoy him. I think he's great.
Yeah, and then he Pearl Harbored Sledge.
He did Pearl Harbor Sledge. He did.
Yeah, he worked really well around Sledge. Like, Sledge is basically beef. Like, he's someone who's very good at lifting, but you can kind of see that he's not the best wrestler. I don't know how long he's been going since 2011, so it's not like he's a rookie. He's wrestled in PCW, but not the one we're thinking of.
Ah, boo.
Yeah, but he's wrestled in a different PCW. I swear to God, sometimes we just throw places just throw letters together and hope to.
I mean, the dynamic between Johnson and Sledge in this match, this going to sound really strange now, but Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman had a feud in like late 2016, and it was before Braun Strowman could work. He's not a great worker now, but he's a damn sight better than he was.
You need to get himself a proper job.
Yeah, he does. But in the interim of him being god-awful and him being not god-awful, there was like an interim spell where he had a feud with Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn is obviously fantastic, and by proxy, he made Braun Strowman look really good. Now, Sledge is actually a decent wrestler. He's all power, but
and
it
Brian
worked
Johnson
here.
isn't as good as Sami Zayn, so it kind of does mellow out.
Yeah, it sort of evens itself out, but Brian Johnson's bumping around Sledge made Sledge look fantastic, and this is with one leg, so yeah, I think he did a very good job.
Yeah, he did do a good job. The leg stuff didn't really go anywhere. Like, it was a thing at the start, but then didn't really play into the rest of the match, really. What I did like, though, was Sledge's Blue Thunderbomb.
Sledge's Blue Thunderbomb was great. It was funny to hear Caprice Coleman go, that's finished off so many people, and then you look at Sami Zayn's, and he's won maybe one match with the Blue Thunderbomb ever.
Yeah, AJ Styles of it once.
Once. The devastating Blue Thunderbomb.
It's a really good kick. But yeah, in terms of, there's not a ton to say about this match other than the dynamic was really good. Sledge catching Brian Johnson off a tope was really impressive.
Yeah.
Only for Johnson to later hit a tope in the exact same position anyway. So you had it scouted, man.
It's one of those things where, I don't want to say Sledge is limited in the ring, because he's not necessarily limited in the ring, but it's one of those things where he does what he does well, if that makes sense.
He's very much a tournament filler.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised if Johnson is a penny to going into Survival of the Fittest. Well, I mean, he's definitely not winning it.
Yeah. And I just want to go back to what you said earlier. You said the knee didn't play in the ending. I thought we were originally, when we got to the ending, I thought we were originally going to get a Bret Hart and Diesel dynamic going where...
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Where Brian Johnson sort of plays possum and then rolls up Sledge, but instead it worked quite well, because they passed it off as Brian Johnson basically passing out onto Sledge's bad leg.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of really, really straining it, and then that sort of led to the roll up.
It's one of those cases where it was a big thing in the beginning and then a nothing thing in the middle. That's the kind of moment.
Yeah, and Sledge didn't exactly sell it in the middle either.
It was like how in Kenta Miyahara versus Yoshitatsu in the Champion Carnival last year, where Miyahara banged his leg into the post, and then it wasn't effective for the rest of the match until it was part of the finish.
Yeah, I think if they'd have just sort of carried on with it throughout the match, then it would have been better, but I'm glad that it did actually play into the ending.
Mm. So yeah, Johnson got the win by the roll-up. Probably the best way to get through. And then PJ Black comes out.
It's always good to see PJ Black.
Has a massive fucking... Like, he's went from, like, cool, hip South African lad to guru.
Yeah, he's definitely selling like weed.
He's muscling in on Matt Seidel's gimmick.
Yeah, 100%. You can imagine him in an opium tent in, like, you know, the Opium Empire.
Have you ever seen Community?
I haven't.
For fuck's sake.
Was that what your entire it was based around?
Yeah, because there's this bit where they're running through the blanket fort and they just come across Britain and I'm not going to explain the blanket fort, just watch Community.
Okay.
You have time on your hands. So PJ Black came out, offered the handshake, wasn't accepted, goes back. PJ Black's just like, well, fuck, that's a bit anticlimactic.
Was a little bit.
Yeah. I like this shirt, though. His shirt was cool.
His shirt was cool. I was a fan.
There's not a ton more you can glean from PJ Black's input at the end of week by week.
No, there's nothing at all.
I can see that happening at some point, but not until after Best in the World, because, you know, Brian Johnson's kind of busy.
We never really talked about this, did we? Like, of the competitors, who do you think is winning it?
I'm going to wait until to see who goes in, because there's some matches that could still go either way. Annoyingly, one of them is Rhett Titus and fucking Danhausen.
That's not going to go either way, mate. You know which way that's going.
No, I'm trying not to be. So here's the thing. Hang on, let me double check the competitors. Survival of the Fittest, 2021.
Well, it was Dak Draper and Eli Isom this week. It's
there we go. So far in it is we won't spoil what happened later on, but Flamita's in there, well, demonic Flamita's in there, and Johnson's. Johnson's in there.
Yeah.
So next week it's Dickinson and Edwards. Dickinson's definitely going through. Danhausen, Titus.
They might do something where LFI interfere.
You know what? I think Titus is going to go over Danhausen, actually, because otherwise there's no foundation. But again, he has tactiles, doesn't he?
I mean, they're not opposed to people doing double duty. We talked about this last week, so
let's be optimistic and say Titus. Bandido Bateman, that's definitely going to be Bandido.
100%.
And then Isom Draper, Isom's in there. So I think it might be one of the younger ones. I think Bandido and Flamita are going to sort of take each other out of contention.
Yeah, they're going to do that stereotypical Royal Rumble thing where they just take each other over the top rope, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's then going to be between. I don't think it's going to be. This is going to be like a pay-per-view match. I think this will be like a TV title defense. So then it's between Dickinson. It's probably going to be Danhausen and Isom. Really, I don't see Johnson doing it. So I think Johnson and Danhausen will take each other out. If that's what happens, and if that's what happens, I'll start. I fucking know. So it's between Dickinson and Isom, and depends who wins. Depends what way you want to take it. I'd go with Dickinson, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Isom.
Isom, who I initially went for. Once the result of ROH TV, obviously, which we'll get into in a moment, because I'll be honest, my pick was Draper, and then obviously that didn't happen. But I think Isom, especially as you said, I can't see it being a pay-per-view defense because I don't know when the next pay-per-view is after Best in the World, but going by the difference between the 19th anniversary and
it'll be 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, so it'll be October we're looking at maybe. So it's going to be a TV defense, I would have thought. So you can afford to put someone who's less experienced in that spot, and I think Eli Isom versus Rush should be a very, very good match.
Yeah, and I think Dickinson might be a good way to go if you want Brody King to be the one who eventually beats Rush.
That's very true.
Like, say Brody King disposes of Lethal. Ben Dickinson has one on the horizon. It can be fuckery in the match because Dickinson and Rush would be a really good match.
It would. I was a big fan of Dickinson's promo, actually. It was clearly not scripted, but I was a big fan of Dickinson's this week.
We'll go on to the Dickinson one in a bit. So yeah, possibly Dickinson, but I'm going to wait and see what everyone's in there and then how stories play out going into Best in the World.
Okay.
Ask me again when we're previewing Best in the World in a few weeks.
Okay, I'll do that then.
Yeah, so this match was just grand. I don't think it was worth going out your way for. Unless you want to be like unless you want to be a survival of the fittest completionist, you can probably skip this one. Rule of thumb for week by week, unless it's a pure rules match, is probably worth skipping.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, women's division Wednesdays. I don't need to set any of these up because they're all in the same place and I'll have the same commentary team, apart from this time Maria Canales is there. And it was Miranda Alazi and Sumi Sakai taking on Maserati and Trisadora. And it was fine. It was fine. Maserati's very clearly still a bit green. How long has she been going, actually?
Well, they said that she held the OVW and then the future of wrestling in Las Vegas. I think she held those two titles simultaneously, I think Maria said.
She's been going since 2016, but she's only had 47 matches, so she'll still be overall green. She was an Impact at one point. She got beaten by Madison Rayne.
She wasn't horrendous, but there were moments where you could tell.
No, she was clearly like the greenest in the match, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Miranda Alazi, she was like half lucha, half wrestler. I thought luchas were wrestlers. That's a weird gimmick to me. But she was good. She was surprised. Like, I've never really seen her. She was in the Mae Young Classic, though. I found out doing research for this bit.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
She fell to Rhea Ripley in the first round of the original Mae Young Classic.
She was certainly one of the four women that stood out to me, and Miranda Alazi was one of them.
She's also been doing some dark stuff on. She's been like enhancement talent in AEW, so like she gets around. She's had some reps.
Yeah, she was the one who
she had some Stardom time.
Really?
Yeah, she had an SWA shot against Toni Storm actually.
Oh right, okay.
So she's had reps. She's went out there and endeavored to get better.
She's the one of the four that was the complete package.
Mm-hmm. Like I can see if Ring of Honor, she's actually had a Knockouts title match against Jordan Grace. So
wow, she really has got around.
Yeah, she's been around. Like she's been to all the other major promotions. She's been to the Crash. She's been to Rise, AAA. She has got around. She's done well for herself. So honestly, everywhere else's women's divisions at capacity, about maybe Impact. So this might be a good fit for her if Ring of Honor can continue to build the women's division. Because we talked about this last week in terms of veteran women on the indies. But because basically any woman who remotely gets buzz on the indies gets signed by someone. Instantly. Yeah. Almost instant. It's actually kind of like Solo Darling was like hot for like 2 months and got signed. Like it's one of those things where there's people who haven't been signed where I'm surprised they haven't been signed. So building like at this stage, building the Women of Honor division is going to be hard unless they strike a deal with someone. But then you run the risk of basically what happens at AEW happening again. So who knows? They're bringing in Sienna, from what I understand, or Alison Kay.
Yeah,
and she's very good. She's got veteran experience. From what I've heard, Maria Canales is really good in the backstage capacity. So in terms of storylines, I don't think we'll be overly lacking.
Well, Alison Kay's got one of the golden tickets for the ticket to gold. So she will be part of that tournament. She has got one.
Yeah. Well, she's I'm pretty sure she's the only woman announced for the tournament so far, right?
No, there's quite a few actually with tickets. So there's Willow Nightingale. She got one.
She's good. She was on the women's show last week.
Yeah. 3 of the 4 women in this match have got tickets to gold as well. The only one not being is Sumi Sakai.
That's a bit of a slap in the face for Sumi Sakai.
I imagine there'll be some manner of story around this because they were building it, weren't they, during this show about how Maria was going to give another ticket out, and then she gave it to Vita Von Star.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Vita Von Star, isn't it?
Think so.
Yeah, the person who's hanging around with Vinny. So there are quite a few people who are currently in possession of tickets. And then I think the pink-haired one from last week who took on Willow.
That was
Alexi Gracie, something like that. She's in the mix for one. She hasn't got one yet, but I think she will get one. So there's quite a few out there. Fingers crossed they'll have a more solid division than they've had in the past.
As long as Angelina Love isn't your vocal point, you'll be fine.
Exactly. In terms of the match, Chris, aside from the sort of preamble we've talked about, there isn't a lot to talk about here, is there?
Yeah, it's very clear this is a group of people who aren't overly familiar with tagging with each other. Everything was fine. Nothing was blow away. Another thing you shouldn't just go out your way for. Honestly, this is mostly notable for the post-match segment where
Max the Impaler.
Yeah, Max the Impaler, who won't eat, came in and absolutely destroyed everyone. And you need a bit in any division. I think you should have a big monster. So their inclusion is good.
Big awesome Kong vibes.
You say that every time a wrestler is big. You literally say that every time like a wrestler is built remotely like Awesome Kong. You're like big Awesome Kong vibe.
Yeah, I know, but when they come in, destroy all of the talent, and then go to the timekeeper, destroy them as well, which was great. I mean, they were obviously talent, but smashing her against the barricade and then hitting her with whatever that move is. I don't know what the move is. I'm not very well versed in Max the Impaler, but they looked absolutely fantastic. And also, I am aware that they use they as the pronoun. If I say she, I apologise.
That's why we said they. I'm trying to find their cage match. There it is. What have you done so far? Career. Not much.
Fair enough.
OVW, IWA Mid-South. Ice Ribbon? No, that's Chikara. I'm stupid. We've done Chikara. Nothing. They've not been around overly long, but we've still had more matches than in 4 years since 2018 than Maserati's had since 2011. So,
I mean, they have got a really striking look. So they've got that bit down. They built them very, very well on this show. So I'm excited to see what they do with them.
2 matches so far on the Women of Honor. We have the first tag match, and which went to a time limit draw. Our old friend
time limit draw, yeah,
and then defeated Hyen on.
Okay.
So I think they're just like chaotic.
That's fine. It adds a bit of spice to the division. That's absolutely fine by me.
Meat on the table, yeah, that's what you are. Right back for the Impaler.
Lovely.
Anyway, anything else you want to add to Women of Honor Wednesdays?
Amy Rose came out at the end.
Oh yeah,
and sort of looked like she was recruiting Max the Impaler.
Maybe. I mean, she needs something to do. LFI want nothing to do with her anymore.
Well, she sort of like, I don't know, it was weird. She started clapping in the same way that Scarlett Johansson claps and the Hulk stops what they're doing.
She doesn't clap. She like...
Oh no, she strokes his hand.
Yeah, it's like, hey buddy, sun's getting real low.
So yeah, I assume it's something along those lines. But yeah, and then, like I say, we had another ticket given out, but...
I got a golden ticket. I got a golden ticket. That's a great film.
Okay.
It taught me that death was inevitable.
Did it really?
No, it didn't, but that boat scene... There's Toy Story 3 that told me that. So, Robert Goodwin, are you ready to talk about Ring of Honor 508? It feels like days since we started this podcast.
So no need to break kayfabe, man.
I didn't break kayfabe at all. I was just saying it felt like we'd been going on about the other stuff for a while. You're the one who broke kayfabe.
It's true. That is true.
JBL's going to sud your bum.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Neither did Edge. So, are you ready to talk about Ring of Honor 508?
Of course.
Okay, so we open up as always with Quinn McKay going over the stories because, it's her job. She runs down the card, goes through the main event story. We'll get to that when we get to the main event. And we then go to Isom versus Draper. Now, would you like to know the backstory of Isom versus Draper?
Please do. Please enlighten me.
Okay, so they wrestled each other to a draw a few weeks ago in Ring of Honor TV. Very good match, actually. It flirted with going on the thread. It was a very good match, especially considering the experience of both of them. Isom requested an extra 5 minutes. Before that could happen, Dalton Castle came out with his boys. His boys are back, but to a Radio Gaga-esque theme.
Yeah, it's not quite the same level of sort of flirting with being sued as the I Want It All.
Oh, where it's literally just I Want It All without the lyrics.
That's exactly, yeah. Whereas
literally, when he came to Edinburgh, people were just singing I Want It All when he was coming out. I'm pretty sure when he came to Discovery, which is my local fed, they just played I Want It All.
It is a banger, to be fair.
All Queen songs are banger. They're one of the best bands of all time. So anyway, Castle comes out, and who's from both of the bollocks? Why? Who knows?
I was just going to... Is there a reason that he's hoofing people in the plums, or just because that is his want?
He's motivated after beating Josh Woods.
Fair enough.
Don't question the actions of Dalton Castle, but what I want to know, do you think Dalton Castle pays his boys?
I imagine he pays them in birdseed. That seems to be what they were heavily implying during this episode.
He pays them in birdseed and sodomy.
The best kind of payment, clearly.
I mean, I've been unemployed for a year now. I'd fucking take it.
If it meant a steady income, I'd take it.
Anyway, so the promos beforehand, Isom gave a very good face promo, promising to beat Draper, saying if he'd have had the extra 5 minutes, he would have beat Draper, and he's going to go to the Survival of the Fittest tournament. And then Draper basically got a Ric Flair promo.
I'm a big fan of Dak Draper. Big fan.
There's a quote here which I loved. Want to talk about world champions? Look at me. All that's missing is the belt.
It was
Draper.
It was the little grin right at the end of the promo where he just went ting, and literally all that was missing.
I'd want to punch you in the face if you weren't both very sexy and very tall.
If you weren't such a handsome bastard.
If you weren't so handsome and if you couldn't definitely kick my ass, I would punch you right now.
100%.
He also framed this as like a opening chapter of what's going to be an amazing Ring of Honor defining rivalry. That's a very cool thing to do. It's like, we're going to be interlinked forever. That really puts over Isom.
He did a fantastic job, considering Dak Draper's promo was the de facto heel promo, considering Eli Isom was such an earnest babyface promo.
It's such a cliche thing to do, to bury your opponent, but he managed to get over his opponent whilst getting himself over. It's such a good trait to have in your toolbox. Not many people can actually do it.
Absolutely.
You look at Kenny Omega when he cuts heel promos. He kind of just buries his fucking opponents.
Which, when you're a heel, you can't necessarily say that's a bad thing. As a heel, that's what it's sort of what you're there to do.
Yeah, but you need to make your face opponents credible, which Kenny doesn't really do.
No, but I think Eli Isom came out of that Dak Draper promo.
Yeah, he came out looking like from the Dak Draper promo looking like $1 million. Like, the only other the last guy I saw do that so well was Eddie Kingston, and weirdly, it's in an AAW promo in a match against Silence Young, where he was literally just like, what was it? It was. Oh, what happened? So he submitted him in a previous match going into this match. He's like, what happened last time? I'm not going to say it's a fluke. I wouldn't take that away from him, but it's not going to happen again. Like, little shit like that. And Draper's... How long has Draper been going? Hang on. Cage match. How is this man rocking only fours? Have they seen his fucking 19th anniversary match? Career? Well, it's been going since 2012, to be fair. It's been going longer than I expected. He has about as many matches as Brock Lesnar does total. Brock Lesnar only has about 150 matches total.
I think the important thing here is you talked about Draper putting over this, the start of that interweaving rivalry, which it's a fantastic story beat, especially going in here. But I think you touched on what was really important. He didn't put over Eli Isom's, managing to survive 15 minutes against him. He didn't put that over as a fluke. He said, I underestimated you and you surprised me. And that's really, really important because clearly Ring of Honor are high on Eli Isom. Clearly. Yeah, and rightly so.
And high on Draper.
Absolutely. Of course.
I'm disappointed we didn't continue the trend of how many shirts he's worn in the last however many matches.
But no, the rivalry is set to be very, very good. If that's what they follow through on, it's going to be very, very good. Because this match, despite the bollocks that went with it, which I'm sure we'll get into, it was a good match.
It was a very good match. They worked really well together. But anyway, so they make their entrances. It's all cool. And then all we hear is Radio Gaga.
Radio Dalton. Yeah.
It just plays Queen. It just plays Queen songs that won't get you sued all day.
Basically, they're karaoke versions of the Queen album is what he's playing.
Yeah. He comes out with some of his boys. By the way, have you ever seen his feud with Silas Young?
No, I don't think so.
So at the time, he only had 2 boys.
Yes, I do remember this.
He has since expanded the boy enterprise to have many boys.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, he only had 2. Actually, when he used to tour around, they used to just use local talented the boys. So, like, he always had many boys. Anyway, he put the boys on the line against Silas Young, who wanted to turn them into real men.
What a stipulation.
So he bet the boys. He lost the boys.
Of course.
So for months, there were these vignettes of Silas Young teaching the boys how to like chop wood and like fix a car.
I love it. That's amazing.
And then the boys turned on Silas Young because Dalton just can't. Because Silas tried to bring, and like they stopped wearing like the flamboyant stuff and started coming out in plaid.
God,
like they were actually in plaid,
proper full-on lumberjacks.
Yeah. And then I think with Final Battle, just went back with Dalton, and Dalton just shouted, and like Silas was trying to get them to interfere, and then Dalton just wagged his finger, was like, "They're my boy," and then he got the boys back. He would be world champion like a year later. Also, one of the best matches I ever saw live was Dalton Castle and the boys versus the Young Bucks and Adam Page. Very good match.
Okay.
The boys are actually good. Well, I'm not sure about these boys. These new boys. These intern boys.
Intern boys.
Yeah. Do you think he had the old boys train them? Unless, like, when you have to train your replacement?
Maybe, yeah. I can imagine that. I can imagine that.
We're spending a lot of time in Doncastle's voice. Anyway, so comes out and like he's just constantly shouting at Draper, "I want more, give me more." He had the boys clap for him. That was nice of him. We should just have the boys as audience members. And so yeah, every time Draper did something big, Dalton would be like, "Give me something big. I want something bigger." And then Draper started like getting it was because he kept getting his ego rubbed. So he was like, "Oh, fine." So he's about to hit the Magnum. Which, by the way, very quickly, do you agree that his Doctor Bomb should be the his finisher rather than the Magnum?
How that isn't his finisher? Like,
I know
it was
such a good Doctor Bomb.
It was such an organic ending that when Isom kicked out of it, I was like, "Oh fucking hell!"
Yeah, that's not his finisher, but Magnum is, and it's not like Isom's small. He's like 5'11", 207 pounds.
Dak Draper picked him up like he was a packet of spuds.
Yeah, and like I understand he has like 5 inches and 50 pounds on him.
It looked great though. It did look great. It's a very
it's
giftable moment.
Yeah, but the Magnum, which is basically it's basically a wasteland. Like if you remember Wade Barrett's old move.
I do remember Wade Barrett's old move, the wasteland. I hated that move.
It's like at least the AA has some stank on it.
Yeah. It wouldn't bother me if it was like a sit-out wasteland or something like that, but yeah.
Well, at that point, it's basically a Michinoku. It's basically like a water slide at that point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or like a screwdriver. I don't know. Like, I don't think it would annoy me so much with Draper if he didn't already have that amazing Doctor Bomb.
Yeah, it's like when Baron Corbin... Well, not necessarily the same as Baron Corbin, because both Deep Six and End of Days are both great finishers. But yeah, it felt like the finish of the match. Though I suppose in some ways it did play into the storyline that they were sort of working with here. You know, the fact that Dalton Castle was sort of rubbing his ego a little bit so that he wanted to finish it off in the best way possible.
I thought the ending was great. So he's about to hit the Magnum, and then saw Dalton Castle going, "No, I want more." So he went to the top, and then Dalton Castle storms off.
Dalton Castle left to go to some sort of art opening.
Yeah, it's like I need to. I have shit to do, man. Runs off with his boys. Didn't even leave a boy behind to keep scouting.
You never leave a boy behind.
You never leave a boy behind.
You never leave a boy behind, Chris.
And then Isom took advantage. Hit a very good brainbuster. He has a good brainbuster.
He has a very, very good brainbuster, and it's not easy on a guy of Dak Draper's height.
Yeah, well, actually, it could be easy because you go halfway up and drop him. So.
Yeah, but you think about the difference in size between them. That's quite difficult when you think that, Dak Draper's 6'5", 6'6"?
He's 6'4", I believe. 6'5".
And then Eli Isom's 5'11"? That's a pretty significant height difference.
Yeah, but you'll get him halfway up and it's like, okay, I can't hold him, and then you'll fall and it will look great. He'll die. He'll look...
The realest of brainbusters.
Yeah, the neck, it's a legitimate neck breaker. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed the reason Draper lost this match was because he was such an egomaniac.
It plays into his character, certainly.
Yeah. So Isom goes on to the finals of Survival and Fittest, and presumably Draper and Castle will fight at Best in the World. Which, to be fair, I think Draper should win that.
Yes. I mean, I think I said earlier in the podcast that just looking at the field before we had any matches, Dak Draper was actually my favourite to go on and win the entire thing, and then obviously, again, went out in the first round. But
you're not doing very well at tournament predictions this year, are you?
I don't do well with tournament predictions at all.
Who did you predict to win the New Japan Cup again?
I think I predicted Suzuki. Which it's just, you never ever predict Suzuki to win anything because he never does.
Unless he's against a young boy.
Unless he's against a young
who did
lion.
You predict to win Cinderella?
Yep, Azumi went out in the first round. It's going well. I predicted Momo Watanabe to win the 5-star. Didn't happen. So yeah, admittedly, what I need to do is I need to predict someone that I don't want to win a tournament.
You know what I kind of love? I've called for G1 all 3 years, but I've known. Actually, no, I didn't call Tanahashi winning, but I called Ibushi winning both times.
Oh, fucking hell. That's depressing.
It's not depressing. New Japan are just fucking predictable.
That's true. Something that we didn't talk about in this match was the absolutely phenomenal bump that Dalton Castle took over the guardrail.
Oh, that was great.
That was sensational.
And the way he just peered his head back over.
He did proper just perch his head over and go, that was amazing.
It's have you ever seen The Incredibles?
Yes.
You're he just picks up, he just finishes the kids' fair from early in the film. That was totally wicked.
It was a brave thing to put Dalton Castle in this match because it, with his character inherently, is
very distracting.
Exactly. You run the risk of him taking the focus away from the match, but I think it worked.
You know what trope I really hope they bring through?
Go on.
It used to be when Dalton Castle had his boys. If someone went to the top rope, they'd fan them off to the top rope. Which was stupid when there was 2 of them, but now there's 10 of them. So I can see there being enough wind to blow someone off the top rope at that point.
If this ultimately does lead to Dak Draper versus Dalton Castle, then fair enough.
I don't see why it wouldn't.
No, we're obviously getting quite close to Best in the World now because it's July.
It's next month. Yeah,
it's next month. I think it's exactly a month away. So, and we've only had 3 matches confirmed as well because they've just confirmed that Flip Gordon's going to take on EC3.
It would have been nice if we put that on TV, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't remember if we talked about this, but I think it was on Week by Week this week that EC3 did. It was a really, really good promo where he
did he cause trouble?
He did not cause trouble. I'm not going to carry on with all the troubles, but he didn't. He did call out Flip Gordon, and sort of he declared himself for the Ring of Honor World Championship as well. So
they've been tagging, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it was because of the way that he beat Jay Briscoe, because obviously Jay Briscoe and EC3 have been fighting to, show that honor is real. And then Flip Gordon sort of went and beat Jay Briscoe in an unhonorable way. Inhonorable? Dishonorable, that's the word I'm looking for. Dishonorable way. So, of course, that's led to a match between the two. I don't know how I feel about the match. I'm not as excited for that match as I am for Josh Woods versus Silas Young.
Flip's been really good this year.
That's the thing. I haven't seen a lot of Flip Gordon in the last couple of years. Actually,
watch his match with Rhett Titus.
In fact, the last thing I saw Flip Gordon in was
my Ring of Honor video.
No, it was Best of Super Juniors when he was part of Best of Super Juniors.
You didn't watch my Ring of Honor? What the fuck?
I watch all of your videos.
But so the last thing you'd seen Flip in would be my Ring of Honor video.
Not live, you clown.
Well, you didn't watch Best of Super Juniors live. You didn't go to Japan.
That's true. Anyway, next match, Chris.
Well, no next match. There's a promo package to talk about.
Go on, then.
O'Shea Edwards versus Chris Dickinson is on Week by Week. Well, it's already been, so got timing. But yes, on the next Week by Week, Edwards says he should be more featured because Dickinson's whole thing is, I'm the best guy no one's ever heard of, or whatever. And O'Shea Edwards was like, everyone's fucking heard of you. You faced John Moxley last year, you clown.
I did really appreciate, Chris Dickinson's promo was great. It was very pure. It was very raw. You could tell there was absolutely no fucking script for it whatsoever.
Yeah, because he repeated the same phrase like 3 times.
Like 3 times. But I thought O'Shea Edwards' promo was really, really good. It was really succinct. He didn't do that typical trope of just building to a scream at the end. He was very calm throughout it, enunciated very well. I'm a big fan of O'Shea Edwards.
He is good at his promo. But then Dickinson, I did like the line, and so it had to be you, but it had to be someone. I did like that.
Yeah. Dickinson's promo was not bad. Apart from the fact that he repeated himself 3 times. Aside from that, he delivered the lines very well.
But to be fair, at that point, it's down to the fucking editor to edit that shit
Exactly,
out.
They are pre-recorded.
You can tell, especially in Josh Woods promos, that they're definitely cutting around him. Just cut around Dickinson, it's fine. No.
We don't mind.
I mind it more than I bet you haven't. Yeah, it was good. Not as fiery as Brian Johnson's last week.
No, but I really, really enjoyed that with Sledge. Really enjoyed that.
But it probably made a few people want to tune into Week by Week. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to tune in, but that's because we have to.
We don't have to. We've chosen to do.
We've chosen to do this podcast.
We haven't signed any contract. No one's fucking paying us.
Make sure to donate on coffee. Anyway, carry on.
You're a fucking hog. Anyway, LFI versus Foundation. Would you like to know the story?
Yes, please. Give us some backstory.
Okay, so a few months ago, the Foundation Foundation members of Lethal and Gresham lost their tag titles to Dragon Lee and Kenny King in a Pure Rules match because Dragon Lee is a dirty cheater.
Right.
He used an extra close fist punch.
Yes.
I love that that's cheating, but anyway, we cheated in the Pure Rules match because it's not in the Pure division. There's nothing you can really do. The champions just chose the rules.
Yeah.
So it wasn't overturned because then Beaver breaks. So they weren't happy. So then it was going to be a rematch, but at Best in the World, Anniversary, except it was going to be Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams because Gresham and Lethal were tied up and they don't have a fifth member for Titus to tag with, so we were like, Tracy, you're pulling double duty, buddy. But then Lee got injured, so Kenny King lost Lee's TV title, and then which is going to lead to a triple threat match soon. And then they lost the tag titles because it was King and Bestia Del Ring.
Who I believe is Dragon Lee's dad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's also a beast.
He is enormous.
He's massive. Holy shit, dad bod for days.
But he still looks like he'll fuck you up.
I mean, yeah, like, anyone of that face paint, it's like the face paint that Chris Jericho goes for when he's in the Tokyo Dome.
Mm.
Except Chris Jericho looks like he listened to The Cure once and was like, my whole personality now.
Yeah.
Bestie Del Ring looks like he beat you up for listening to The Cure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He would wait around the corner in the playground to rob you of your lunch money without a shadow of a doubt.
And that's as an adult.
And yeah, absolutely. As a 50-year-old man.
So yeah, this is a rubber match because both teams have reasons to say the other one slighted them, so this is the rematch.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say about this match, I do love the fact that, so we talked about last week about everyone has a strategy going into Pure Rules match. Like how Silas kind of used his to create openings for himself.
Of course.
Two very different strategies here. The Foundation worked to burn over rope break so that A, it's not something they have available to them later in the match, and B, it means if it goes to a time limit draw, it would probably go in their favor.
Mm-hmm.
LFI, on the other hand, don't like Pure Rules, so they just don't bother.
They wrestled just a normal match, effectively.
Yeah, it's weird though, because Kenny King doesn't have that bad a record in Pure Rules.
No.
Like, he did well in the Pure tournament.
You do get the impression, though, that the fact that this was a Pure Rules match was more of an inconvenience to them than them actually going out of their way to concoct a strategy.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of the actual match before we go into the ending?
I really enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the fact that Titus and Williams targeted King, especially. King absorbed a lot of punishment in this match. And
yeah, Titus and King have previous.
Yes, as part of the... Right, I knew this.
All Night Express.
All Night Express, that's the one.
All night long.
So obviously there's history there, which I quite liked, but the fact that they targeted Kenny King and they burned through rope breaks, really, the first rope break was done within, 50 seconds. It was done really, really quickly.
Commentary put it over well. It's like, Kenny King is a great wrestler. He could have easily got himself out of that, but he's forgetting that he's in Pure Rules, so he's burning rope breaks.
I also enjoy when Dragon Lee attempted to he sort of had a strategy, which was just to bait Titus and Williams into getting disqualified. So he spat at Titus and, he was trying to get them disqualified for not tagging properly and things like that, for coming into the ring when they shouldn't do. So
that shit works with the Foundation because they're all, they want to pretend like they're composed, like some sort of Four Horsemen type thing, but they're all hotheads. Like
you get that from the post-match, which we'll talk about later.
Like if you go back and watch Violence Unlimited versus Foundation from a couple of weeks ago, like literally there's a point where Homicide annoys Jay Lethal so much that he had to take a walk.
God.
And then Titus is just outside of it going, hey man, it's fine. It's fine.
Just calm down, man. It's fine.
I'm gonna have him, bro. I'm gonna take it. Yeah, so sorry, continue trying to spoil.
No, it's fine. I enjoyed the chemistry that all four of these men had. People
forget, because of how much basically Jim Cornette has shit on Kenny King, people forget that he's a very good wrestler.
He is. He's actually improved a lot since the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
He'd sort of burn out halfway through a match because he'd try and fit too much in.
Mm-hmm. Because he was, in TNA, he was mostly X Division, and then it was Spot Fest, Ring of Honor. Titus definitely carried, he's kind of the, he's I'm trying to think of a tag team comparison. He's not a great worker he's very charismatic, but he's improved a lot recently.
Yeah, and I think this sort of heel character fits Kenny King very, very well, because as a heel, you're not going to endeavor to do flips off the top rope and shit like that. And you notice that I really enjoyed the chop fest between, I think it was Dragon Lee and Tracy Williams, and Tracy Williams obviously got the shoulder support on.
And he baits Williams into taking the shoulder support.
It was
off.
so great. It was so good because, we've seen quite a lot of Dragon Lee from his work in New Japan, and we've always talked about, I think back to that match he had with Will Ospreay at Dominion where he did that suicide dive like a fucking bullet and ended up nearly killing himself on that fucking barricade. It was horrendous. But then you look at the Dragon Lee here, and it's a completely different animal. You still get the impression that, he can do the flips, he can do the planches, he can do all of that moves.
But in multi-mans, he often does shit like that.
But here, he was far more grounded, far more engaged in the brutality of the match. And that exchange with Tracy Williams, that baiting Tracy Williams into, dropping his shoulder support so that they could chop each other properly. It worked into that whole thing that I was talking about with Dragon Lee earlier, about trying to bait the Foundation.
I think that's the thing, because what we've seen basically exclusively in New Japan was big match Dragon Lee, because that's the only time because we didn't really watch Road 2, so we didn't see him in multi-mans. We didn't see him on the smaller shows. We'd only see him when he's going for the title or if he's facing Kuromo or whatever. So
yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed the chemistry that all four men had. I've not seen a lot of Rhett Titus. When I was watching Ring of Honor, I believe he was in a tag team called the Dogs or something like that.
Hang on, let me look.
It was something like
the
that.
Dogs.
The Dogs. The Dogs.
Rhett Titus and Will Ferrara. It's technically still going.
That's exactly who it was. And I watched them, and I didn't feel anything here. Whereas
it's very hard to feel something for Will Ferrara, to be fair.
Well, yeah, I think him and Williams have a really, really good dynamic. What I really enjoy about, we waxed lyrical last week about the pure rules in singles competition. The thing that I love in tag team competition when it's pure rules is the breaking up of pinfalls. Because especially on indie shows, on things like that.
Honestly, I think you're just annoyed because you can't have proper tag matches in Fire Pro.
I love the fact that basically you have got 3 breaks, and this is with, assuming that you don't break things with the rope or anything. You've got 3 opportunities to break up a pinfall with your partner, and I love the fact that WWF trialed this in the mid-90s, where if you came in to break up a pinfall more than 3 times, you were disqualified. And I think that's a great rule because it's used so often as a trope to extend a match, and it becomes extremely repetitive and extremely boring. Whereas here it adds to the drama, especially when, towards the end, Dragon Lee is in complete strife right at the very, very end, and Kenny King has to choose basically, do I let him lose or do I dive in, break it up, and risk disqualification? It's a little thing, but the drama it adds to a match, I do really appreciate.
Yeah, and I think what really helps is how ergonomic the graphics are for pure matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Because from one glance, you can see who has the advantage.
Yeah.
It's something you'd want. If you tune in halfway through a football match, you can immediately see who's winning.
Yeah.
And then something like Pure Rules or even shoot style, but back in the day, that's something you'd need. For example, in shoot style, rope breaks and takedowns would, I believe, I'm not a shoot style expert, but I believe it was takedowns and rope breaks would dock you a point, first one to 0, or get knocked out, or submit wins. But problem is, sometimes UWF were occasionally quite up and down with their graphics. You weren't guaranteed to have good graphics. Whereas here, you don't have that problem. It's great.
Yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed this match. And I think the fact that it ended in a DQ sort of worked with what Le Faction and Gonable is going for.
I like how champions get to dictate the kind of rules they fight under. Because I think it's confirmed that all Foundation title matches from now on are going to be pure rules matches. Like, if they're holding the titles.
Yeah, that's what the commentary said anyway.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to, with the exception of the triple threat, I think that's next week. It's either next week or the week after.
The TV Championship triple threat?
Yeah, between Deppin, Williams, and Lee.
It's next week's main event.
That's going to fuck.
That is going to absolutely bang. I'm very excited for that match.
But, like, for example, because here, they basically just got by the fact that Kenny King and Dragon Lee are not used to pure rules. They've had one, and they cheated to get by in that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, no one looks bad because this is an LFI kind of match. And on week by week, I believe, Violence Unlimited attacks Foundation, trying to goad them into a fight without honor. Which could be the tease for the anniversary show.
I did really best in the world. I did really enjoy Violence Unlimited after this match, just standing on the ring on the stage. LFI,
and because it's there's four main now that Mexico Squad are gone. There's four main factions. There's Violence Unlimited, Shane Taylor Promotions, Foundation, and LFI.
Mm-hmm. They
basically exist on a fucking spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, you have LFI, who are basically your evils, like your pure evils. You have Violence Unlimited, who are like your chaotic evil. You have Shane Taylor Promotions, who are basically violent neutral. Like, we're gonna beat you up, and like we don't care about honor, but also we have pride, man. And then the Foundation, who don't want to do anything that's not pure.
Yeah.
Yeah. This match, I did prefer the other pure rules match, but I think as a story to further, this is better.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gives LFI axe to grind, and it ended really cool with all the factions out there. Like, I'm kind of sad Shane Taylor Promotions has kind of been shoved to the side in the whole faction warfare thing, because they were definitely a part of it earlier in the year. But I guess Violence Unlimited is like overall cooler because everyone like in Shane Taylor Promotions, it's literally just Shane Taylor and the other two.
Yeah, whereas Violence Unlimited, Brody King is your de facto leader, but you have got big names in that.
Yeah, you got Deppin and Dickinson, who are two of the best indie talents going, and then Homicide, who's a legend.
I still can't believe they bought Homicide back, to be fair. The thing is, Violence Unlimited are also the newest faction out of all of these, having only been going a month.
Like, they're the new shiny... Well, 3 months, actually.
I meant they've only been going since the last pay-per-view. Sorry, I didn't mean they'd only been going a month. They've been going since the last pay-per-view is what I meant. So more of the focus is obviously going to be on them than it is to Shane Taylor Promotions.
Yeah, we need to establish them. Maybe if Shane Taylor Promotions expanded, but to be honest, I think we're just going to be sitting with the 6 man until we're ready to do something with Shane. But yeah, that was Ring of Honor 508. Coming up next week is some exciting things. We have Chris Dickinson versus O'Shea Edwards. I know it's already been, but like we can be pretty confident that Edwards isn't going to Survival of the Fittest, because why?
It would make a lot of sense for Dickinson to have won.
Yeah. We also have Women's Wednesday, which hasn't been announced yet. That's fun. Brett Titus versus Danhausen is soon. I hate that. And then on ROH TV next week, we have Bandito, one of Rob's favorites.
Yep.
Versus, you should just watch Lucha already.
I should, really.
Bandito versus Bateman. Have you ever seen Bateman?
No. I know that he's part of Vinny Marseglia's whole thing, isn't he?
Yeah, kind of. It's fact, it hasn't really been a thing since anniversary, so who knows? And Deppin versus Lee versus Williams. That's going to be good.
Which is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be your first Deppin match, isn't it?
It is going to be my first Deppin match.
It's a bit of a shame that your first step in match is a triple threat, but he's still really good.
I've just seen that they have the women's division Wednesday that we're going to be looking at next week. The match is Roxy versus Laney Luck. I've just seen it.
And so far for the anniversary, I keep getting anniversary and best. So far for the pay-per-view, we have Lethal versus King, Youngs versus Wood, and EC3 versus Flip, which they're all solid.
They're all solid, yeah.
And I'm looking forward mostly to Lethal versus King, because woof.
Yeah, I love Brody King. Love Brody
so
King.
Good.
And Jay Lethal, in my opinion, can't put a foot wrong, so.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of if Brody King's ever had like a chop off with Walter. I hope he has. He has. He's faced Walter in PWG. I am looking that up later. Okay. That's the end. Thank you for listening to the Purespective. We swear it's not a Nazi thing. You can find us on Twitter at, I don't remember Twitter. What's the Twitter?
It's at Purespective Pod.
Purespective Pod. You can find me at Chrisless Puro. You can find Rob
at Real Rob Goodwin.
You can find us on all good podcasting networks, which because you're listening to us. You can find us on the Stardom Cast. We shout at each other. That's it. Bye, guys.
See you later.